All right. I'll let the wifey know that he's home. She's dropping off some clothes for charity, donating a bunch of kids' clothes to charity. So, let's see here. All right. Let's get to some more ads in the chat. Good afternoon, says Lion Star. Thank you so much. Byzantium says, hello, good sir. Hello, good sir. Cool Trainer Andrew says, Nintendo should take notes from this and combine their first party and third party games in the one direct. Why would they need to take notes? I find it interesting when people act like Nintendo should take notes. They kind of invented the digital showcase, and they always have third party games in their general directs. So I don't know, what are we doing? Like, Nintendo already does this. So I don't know what notes they're supposed to take. They literally already do this. Fairbanks 2417. My dream is anything Uncharted, but I'll settle for a new Rayman. Would be interesting to see if anything's happening with Rayman. What are you doing here? Was looking for PlayStation Prime. Well, you know what, Steak? As they say, you know, I am a Nintendo shill fanboy that cares about absolutely nothing about what's best for Nintendo. Clearly can't get excited for any games that aren't coming to Nintendo, and very clearly don't play anything but Nintendo. You know, I just inject Mario into my veins. I'm obviously being sarcastic, guys. I literally play tons of games that aren't on Nintendo. So it is what it is, man. I'm a gamer first. I get excited about games first. Platforms are neat. Games are what matter. And we have live reacted to State of Plays. We live reacted to an Xbox Direct earlier this year. And yeah, we'll talk. We're a Nintendo channel. So yeah, we'll talk about the stuff that's coming to Switch 2. But that doesn't mean you won't see some good reactions from me to things that aren't coming to Switch 2. My reaction when they revealed Wolverine. I got really excited for Wolverine, and I know that's not coming to Switch 2. Let's see here. So apparently QVC had a mega deal earlier for an iPad with accessories for $20. You're on the wait list. Your PayPal went through, so well, good luck. I don't know, how good of a deal it was. I'm hoping it was a killer deal. See here. The original Radical Jimzo says about 15 minutes before the State of Play starts, I'll need to get in my support person's car for 25 to 30 minute drive to a location where we will play Dungeons and Dragons. Hell yeah. Enjoy your Dungeons and Dragons time, man. Let's see here. Skipler says, it has been reported that Sony is doing a survey that contains stuff like Switch 2 and Nintendo Directs. Yeah, I did talk about that briefly today on X. For people that don't know, that survey is not new. That's news from last year. That's from April of last year. So it's something that's already happened. And I repeated today what I repeated back then. And that is that I feel like that survey was specifically because they are trying to gather information about people who play on a hybrid handheld like Switch 2 while they're developing their own hybrid handheld PlayStation 6 handheld. So it's probably just a information gathering exercise to see what people like, what people don't like, so they can use that information to help them make their handheld. So yeah, it's not actually new. The reason people thought it was new is because there were some bigger Nintendo accounts that for some reason decided to reshare it today, even though it's like a year old, but whatever. So I commented on it again just to clarify what I thought it was for, but it's not actually new. So they did this like a year ago, almost a year ago. Will there be a Thunderstash appearance? No Thunderstash today. He's working on game reviews. He's busting his ass on game reviews. Let's see here. You've injected Zell into your veins, Tracy. That's funny. Cool Trainer Andrew. What I'm getting at is get rid of the partner showcases and combine it with first party announcements. They are not going to do that. And I'm going to tell you why they don't do that. I'm actually going to tell you why it's actually a very smart decision they don't do that. So Nintendo, more than Sony, is very reliant on the excitement for their first party games. Okay. I don't think anyone can deny this. If you're denying this, then you're just ignoring facts. People that watch Nintendo events get more excited for Nintendo's games than anything third party has going on. Okay. For the most part, there's a couple exceptions. For the most part, a 3D Mario will overshadow anything else in the Direct, right? So they actually need to split out some of those things from the Direct so they can actually get attention. Put it this way. No one would have been talking about Indiana Jones and no one would have been talking about Oblivion Remastered if those games were put into a Direct with 3D Mario. The only thing people would talk coming out of the direct is, oh, look at 3D Mario. Those games would have got ignored. That's why Nintendo splits it up. They take some stuff and do a dedicated partner showcase so it actually gets attention. They're trying to actually help their partners. It does not help partners to take all their big games and put it in a general direct where Nintendo's own games are going to dominate the conversation. It just doesn't make sense. It makes way more sense to have multiple events. The reason Sony can do it is because Sony sells primarily on the back of third-party games. Sony could never release a first-party game again and still sell 100 million PlayStations because most of their sales are based on things like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, sports titles, and all the other big AAA games that are multi-plat. It's been that way since PlayStation 1. It is still that way on PlayStation 5. A majority of sales are based on third-party games, not Sony's first party. That doesn't mean that Sony's first party games don't sell. Horizon, as we know, has sold very well as a franchise. God of War has sold really well. Spider-Man has sold really well. Obviously, Uncharted, right? We know that Sony games sell, but they come out so infrequently, they really aren't the reason that people buy PlayStation 5. So they don't really outshine all the third-party games. So that's why Sony could do like this huge, just throw everything in one event, because those are the games that actually sell their system. Nintendo games are what sell Nintendo systems. So they overshadow third party. And so it actually makes a hell of a lot of sense that they should actually take all the third party games out of their events and do their own third party thing. But they don't do that. They still put third party games in the general direct, but they have so many to announce. They're like, hey, let's do 2 events. Let's not combine this together and make it like a mega 2-hour event, because most of those games are going to be completely ignored for Nintendo's games. So yeah, no, I actually think Nintendo's doing a smart move, a move that doesn't make sense for Sony, because dedicated things for just their games, they don't release enough of them. Like Nintendo averages like a published game a month. Sony doesn't release enough games in general to do that. So they have to really push the third parties really hard, because that's what ultimately sells their system. GTA 6 is going to sell more PlayStations than any Sony game has ever sold. Third-party game, multi-plat. You don't even need to own a PlayStation to play it. Let's see here.